Well, one of my colleagues came to the floor this morning and said, it kind of smells like bacon in here. What could that be? And I said, well, that's because the Republicans are cooking up their budget just off the floor. And that's what they're doing. They are cooking up a budget with cooked books. Here we are. We have a national debt of nearly $20 trillion. And the highest priority on the Republican side of the aisle, reflected both in their so-called health care bill, which was actually tax cuts only for people who earn over $250,000 a year, is tax cuts for people who earn over $250,000 a year, particularly targeted toward those in the top 1/10 of 1%, those who earn millions of dollars a year. They say that is the cure for all of America's ills. Just cut their taxes and the benefits will trickle down onto all the rest of us. I think a lot of people don't like much to be trickled on in that manner. Now, what are the priorities other than tax cuts in their budget? Massive increase in spending at the Pentagon. Now, remember, the Pentagon is the only agency of the federal government that is unauditable. That's right. Every year, every agency of the government is subject to an audit, but not the Pentagon. They say, hey, we can't be audited. We don't, the books are a mess. We can't be audited. Last fall, there was a report that the $125 billion had gone missing out of the Pentagon budget, a report that was attempted by the Pentagon to be repressed. God forbid we should bring any fiscal accountability to the Pentagon, so they're just going to shower more money on them in the hope that some of it gets spent on the real needs of the military. But no sense of responsibility there. But, well, then how are they going to get to a illusory balanced budget if they're having massive tax cuts for the wealthiest among us and massive increases for spending at the Pentagon with no fiscal accountability? Well, simple. We're just going to cut the programs that average and struggling Americans depend upon. Student financial aid, they don't know anybody at the country club whose kids need help going to college. So those programs get cut. Hungry kids, they've never met one. Never met a hungry kid. So let's cut the school lunch program again. And let's cut food stamps for families. But they're breaking some new ground here and breaking some of the president's promises. The president promised he would not cut Medicare. Well, their proposed budget cuts Medicare. Yes, it cuts Medicare. It would cut $500 billion out of Medicare. It assumes that instead of getting a guaranteed benefit, an earned benefit that every American over 65 can have, that you'll get vouchers and you can go into the private insurance market and do better. It sounds a little bit like the failing Obamacare plan that they talk about all the time. But now they want to put seniors in that same boat instead of guaranteed Medicare. And then, of course, $1.5 trillion in cuts in Medicaid. That's welfare. Well, actually, the largest recipients of Medicaid are seniors in long-term care. A lot of people are going to be surprised when grandma or granddad is out in the street or comes home and needs a lot of help and assistance, and there's no help or assistance to be had. So that's the largest group. Now, what's the second largest group of freeloaders on Medicare? Oh, on Medicaid, it's kids. God forbid that kids should get medical help when they're growing up. Let's have them long-term, lifetime disabled. Deny them medical care when they're young, and we'll just all that later. This is quite a set of priorities they're putting before us, and fiscally irresponsible. So as I have in past years, I'm introducing a fiscally responsible, balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. Not like the Republican one that says you have to have 2/3 to increase taxes and 1 vote to cut taxes. No, this one would say you've got to balance the budget, but you do it by prudent reductions in spending, and also you have to deal with the revenue side. And oh, by the way, mine protects Medicare and Social Security totally from these sorts of cuts. It makes them into the entitlement programs they're supposed to be that the Republicans want to do away with in their budget. So I think there's a better way to go forward, but just like in their fake health care bill, which was really disguised tax cuts for the wealthiest among us, they're now giving us a supposedly prudent fiscal budget blueprint, which again is huge tax cuts for the wealthy, massive increases for the Pentagon, and cuts for everybody else. I yield back the balance of my time.